In 2020, our clients saw big shifts in buyer journey behavior. But while they don't expect this to continue into 2021, there are signs that video will play an increasingly bigger role in how we interact with and sell prospects.
We have some fleets that still are uncomfortable. Everybody's different. There's a broad spectrum of, health concerns. So video for us still helps us stay in touch with customers. And it helps us, it basically alleviates the, we can't see you. I can stay in front of you with a video and, our relationship stays strong.
Our clients also told us that customer preferences for purchasing online increased, and most clients believe this will continue. But there are signs that some brand loyalty is in play, and some believe this will continue.
It really comes down to the relationships and the service that we're getting from our local dealers. And in our area, even Komatsu, John Deere, Caterpillar, all three of them working, we have great relationships with the salespeople, and that's so big for us.
Research shows that 70% of prospects would rather learn about a product or service through content.
I am on social media a lot. I watch every major manufacturer, see what they're rolling out. And it really started for me with like Komatsu with their integrated machines in 14, kind of seeing what they were doing, Cat right there with them. And so we tried them in the field. And for us, we rent a lot. So I needed to try these machines to see what works for us. And our local Caterpillar dealer didn't have a ton of integrated dozer systems. So yes, they could upfit the dozer with the gear, but we were looking for an integrated solution that we can get right then and there. And our local Komatsu dealer has a lot of integrated machines in their fleet. So then we started renting these Komatsu dozers, and I'm watching those. Now Cat's right there with their integrated dozers. So it's a lot of internet, social media research, field-based research, what's working for us, that sort of thing. I follow a lot of these people. I look at specs online, watch videos. 10, 11 o'clock at night, I'm watching videos on integrated dozers. I don't know how many other guys are doing that, but that's what I'm doing.
How can you penetrate the digital wall that stands between you and your prospects? The answer is in Bill Gates' 1996 prediction. Our next panel provides actionable insights on content strategies, how clients leverage original content, and how they use sponsored content to engage and sell.
Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone to Engaging and Influencing the Connected Content Consumer. I'm Jeff Crissey, Content Director of OEM and Aftermarket at Randall-Reilly, and I'll be moderating this afternoon session. I'd like to now welcome in our panelists, Gina Bonafede with DAS RoadPro, Neil Tolbert with Mack Trucks, and Linda Longton with Randall-Reilly. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for participating in today's session. Let's go ahead and do a round of introductions. Gina, would you like to go ahead and get us started? Let us know a little bit about yourself and DAS RoadPro and the work that you do there.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Gina Bonafede, like Jeff said. Happy to be here today. I am the Director of Marketing Communications at DAS Companies. We focus through our proprietary brands, RoadPro family of brands, of providing on-the-go comforts that keep drivers safe and connected over the course of their on-the-road lives. So I'm excited to be here, and we really focus on everything the drivers need out there to remain safe, comfortable, and connected.
All right, thanks, Gina. Neil?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Neil Tolbert. I'm Director of Marketing Communications for Mack Trucks. I'm responsible for all of our advertising and social media for North America, and we do a lot of lead generation. So we are tasked with that as well. Excited to be here and appreciate you having me.
Okay, thanks, Neil. And last but not least, Linda.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm Linda Longton. I'm Senior Vice President of Audience for Randall-Reilly, and I am over all of our media brands on trucking and construction and work with our editorial, audience marketing, and marketing teams.
Okay, thanks, Linda. We're going to go ahead and get started this afternoon. These three panelists all have some unique perspectives and really effective content marketing strategies that they're going to share with us over the course of the next 30 or 45 minutes. We're going to get started with Gina. Why don't you tell us a little bit about RoadPro's go-to-market strategy, who your target market is, and really what does the company offer?
Yeah, of course. So RoadPro family of brands is distinctly designed to bring the comforts of home to the road for professional drivers. So that being said, we really strive to be the trusted endorser for all of these products that bring them the on-the-go comforts that will enhance this very unique lifestyle that they live. So we work to bring them relevant content through a variety of media tactics, including digital media, social media, pretty intense content marketing and editorial that we partner with Randall-Reilly on through Overdrive Magazine and Truckers News. So we have a broad range of media tactics, but we're really focused on delivering them this relevant content about products that they need to help improve their on-the-go lifestyle. And we want to deliver it in the way that they desire to consume their media, whether that be email, whether it be websites, or whether it be social media, et cetera.
So you've mentioned the bi-monthly digital magazine you developed in conjunction with Overdrive and Truckers News. Well, how does that really fit into your overall marketing strategy?
So what we've done with the digital magazine, it's called our Gear Guide, and it's sponsored by Overdrive and Truckers News. What we do with our digital magazine is we bring together content both from our own proprietary set of brands, but we also leverage our global brand partners that we distribute through DAS companies. And we bring together all of this relevant new content about products coming to the marketplace that are going to help these truckers and their lifestyle. So whether it's mobile electronics, truck and auto gear, or travel gear, all of these products come together in this one destination. And the product content is presented through editorial. The editorial is it's sometimes written by members of the Randall-Reilly team. Other times it's written by the RoadPro team, or in best case, it's written by professional drivers that are members of our audience. So it brings this very genuine perspective and concept of, the drivers that have walked in the shoes of the other drivers, bringing and delivering this content to them.
So Neil, I'm excited to talk about Mack's Road Life and the initial reason to launch that video initiative. Can you tell us a little bit more about what all that entails?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2017, we launched our new highway product, the Mack Anthem. And as a part of that launch, we found ourselves with access to some partner relationships. We had just established a partnership with NASCAR. Through that partnership, that led to some work with Richard Petty Motorsports. At the time, Bubba Wallace was the driver. We had Khalil Mack had reached out to us through the launch, who was I think 2016 Defensive Player of the Year. He was with the Raiders at the time. Now he's with the Chicago Bears. We had the opportunity to partner with Zach Brown Band on a paint scheme and a charity auction for the truck. So all of these things started lining up, and we wanted to really come up with a way that we could utilize all those partnerships. We had set in those agreements some social media opportunities, a certain number of production hours. So my team and I, we got together and really started brainstorming how we could utilize those relationships and what type of stories we could tell, and their Road Life was born from that initial opportunity, if you would, coming out of that launch.
Okay, and I know that long form video is really a new concept in the B2B space. How did you guys go about deciding what channels you'd use, and how did you really help build awareness of these episodes?
Yeah, so we decided to take, we wanted to really put together a subtle sale. We wanted to tell these stories. And so we had storyboarded 8 episodes, each one capitalizing on those partnerships. Um, and then we wanted it to be something that, we could chop up obviously into small social nuggets that we would distribute across social media and utilize on the website. And then we also wanted to feature Mac product in there, but we never really wanted to say Mac product. It wasn't a sales tool. So each episode we shot to work out to be about 18 to 20 minutes in length. And we wanted it to be almost like a docu-series or a documentary, if you would, and really follow the story lines with each of the episodes. And in order to capitalize and reach that audience, we ended up placing all 8 episodes on Amazon Prime. And we wanted you to be able to go home at the end of the day, sit down and really, enjoy and learn something in those 18 to 20 minutes and it tell a story without it being a Mac commercial, if you would.
Linda, as technology continues to evolve and more channels and mediums are popping up, how does Randall-Reilly stay relevant with the audiences that it serves?
Well, Jeff, one of the kind of the hallmarks, I think, of Randall-Reilly content for years now has been our passion for researching our markets. I mean, we do tons of research all the time throughout the year, but one of the key projects that we do each year and have since, oh gosh, it's going on about 10 years now, is our connectivity studies. And so with those studies, we've been able to track the shift from our audiences to more away from desktop to more mobile use. We've been able to track their acceptance and adoption of social media. So we've watched that closely, and that was really one of the drivers over the last year or two when we started to see that our audiences were really consuming much more of our content through email and through our websites than they were through print. And so that kind of gave us permission, if you will, to sunset our print products and move full on 150% into the digital world, because that's where our audiences were. So we followed them there, or we tried to lead them there, I guess.
All right, thanks, Linda. Now, one of the things that we've seen in recent years is really the advent of metrics and analytics, and being able to really use that data to inform the decisions that we make as content creators or content marketers. Gina, let's start with you. What metrics do you use to define success in your marketing efforts? I guess really both qualitative and quantitative. And then how do you filter out certain trends and that external noise in your metrics so that you're really able to hone down and get viable measurements?
The beauty of this digital world is that we do have the opportunity to measure our engagement through all of these wonderful quantitative metrics. So we utilize all of those, everything from click rates to open rates, dwell time, specifically looking at our gear guide, our digital magazine that we mentioned earlier. We really focus on dwell time within the actual documents because we want to know how long people are spending. And, if they're obviously spending more time, they are deeming the content very relevant and worthy of their time. So we focus highly on dwell time there. Of course, with our email campaigns, we focus on open rate and then click-through rates, and same thing with other digital tactics.
So on garnering that driver feedback, how well does that effort work?
It works really well for us. Relative to the Professional Council of Drivers, we execute surveys with them. So we'll have a qualitative discussion on a certain topic, and then we'll obviously record and gather that feedback, and then we will follow that up with a survey so that we have kind of a qualitative sense and a quantitative sense of their feedback on that specific topic. And we get very good engagement. We typically have anywhere from 85 to 90% of our council members participate in that. And then as we look at our break time with RoadPro online community, same thing. We get, hundreds of responses at any given time to certain topics that we put out there. And I should have mentioned this before. We also, Linda mentioned the connectivity study that you guys execute, which is awesome. We also execute surveys with our audience. And at any point in time, we'll have, 2,000 to 3,000 respondents, depending on the topic. So we really leverage our audience to gain valuable feedback or knowledge that we're seeking on a variety of topics.
Linda, obviously metrics and analytics are something we're no stranger to here at Randall-Reilly, but how have the real-time performance analytics and metrics from digital platforms changed the way that Randall-Reilly measures audience success?
I think one of the biggest ways that we use our metrics to measure success is something that it's a pretty new initiative for us, really, where we are looking at each editor's articles that they write, and each editor has a goal, just competing against themselves. So our editors can look and see each day how many email users engaged with the articles that they wrote, and their goal is to continue to grow that audience, because we are absolutely passionate about growing quality audiences. And they look at it from a quantitative, as Gina was talking about. We look at it from how many users are we engaging with, but then on the other side of that, we have a qualitative measure, which is how long are people spending with our content. And so, as I said, each editor is kind of competing against themselves to try to grow, to write the kind of content that helps them engage with more audience users, and also to get them to spend more time with that content, because the more time they're spending with our content, the more influential our editors are with their audiences. So we're really excited about that. That's a level of granularity into our audiences that we've never had before. So I think we'll see really good things from that. And related to that, we can look at our audiences right down to the individual user, which is maybe a little creepy for some people to think about. But we can get a report that says that this vice president of maintenance with this major trucking fleet read these articles and spent this much time with our content. And what that tells us is we know that a VP of maintenance is a very high value audience member for us. That's a person that we want to reach, and certainly our clients very much want to reach someone like that. And so we can look at what he or she is reading and say, how can we do more of that? Because obviously that's the kind of content, that's drawing in that high value audience.
Right, Neil, there was a big shift in your road life strategy between seasons 1 and 2. Can you talk a little bit about how season 2 looks different than season 1 that you touched on earlier, and then how are you measuring the success of your video efforts now?
Yeah, so season 1 was really, if you look at the sales funnel, it was at the top of the funnel. It was that awareness stage. It was a wide net. It was a very broad audience. Those episodes racked up millions of views, hundreds, if not thousands of hours streamed on Amazon Prime, and continued to get, streaming time on Prime. So when we switched over to season 2, we wanted that to be more down funnel. This is more at that interest stage of the sales funnel. And these were episodes that we shortened to about 3 to 5 minutes. These highlighted not only the customer, but also the dealer that supports the customer. And then it really, the point of Road Life episode 2 was to, or season 2, was to highlight the product and really show off how that truck is built for that application, and really provide that down funnel interest stage content that we weren't so interested in really pushing for views, but we wanted to provide the sales field with that level of content that they could share out to customers who they had that potentially were interested in doing something similar with a Mack truck.
And then as far as your measurement of those video efforts, talk a little bit about how you track kind of the transactional nature of somebody watching that video.
Yeah, so each video that we do, each one will point to a landing page. So on MackTrucks.com, you can go to Road Life, and you can engage with those videos. You can watch them. So not only do we, obviously count the video views, the minutes viewed, We also have a very robust lead gen system set up behind that. So everything that we put out, we utilize UTM tags. We're tracking where the visitor came from, what piece of advertising produced that click, and we're also then able to engage with them and provide some gated content around each spec of those trucks within each episode. From there, if someone wants to learn more, they're provided with a form that they would fill out and submit. And from that, we then pass that over to our local dealer as a lead coming off of one of the episodes. And we've seen some excellent results. Our Alaska DOT episode, we know of about 50 Mack snowplow trucks were sold in Canada just from that one episode of us showing how the Mack Granite clears snow at Thompson Pass in Alaska.
So thanks, Neil. You mentioned the sales funnel there, and the importance of really kind of bringing that from introduction to transaction. But of course, along that way, there is the nurturing and retention is a major part of any successful content marketing strategy. So Linda, we'll start with you. With our brands at Randall-Reilly, getting a reader to supply information in exchange for content is a transactional relationship. How does Randall-Reilly then nurture that new audience member to create that trust and retention so that we have a long-term relationship with that audience member?
I think it starts, Jeff, with the quality of the content that you offer from the start. So we spend a lot of time trying to determine, is this something, if I were a reader, would I give up what's become extremely valuable information these days in exchange for this piece of content? So would I be willing to give up my email address, my title, maybe a couple of answers about my company or what I do in exchange for this content? So that the initial content part of the transaction has to be really high value, or we do break that trust with our readers, because if you put out something that's just very marketing focused or doesn't give them the good value, and they've given you really precious information in exchange for it, you break that trust, and we never want to do that. So that it kind of starts with that. So then an example of the kinds of content that we would deem to be pretty high value would be, for instance, our air brake book, which we've done for, a couple of decades now, I think. And it always had very high value as a print product. But we found that it has equally high value as a digital product. And we've had several thousand readers willing to give up their information in exchange for that. So once they give us that information, they've told us a lot about themselves. And for one thing, they've told us that they're interested in maintenance. So a way we would nurture them along would be to say, well, if they're interested in that, they're probably a great candidate for one of our maintenance focused newsletters. So we would give them that opportunity. And then, depending on how much an audience member engages with the content, we touch back in with them periodically. Hey, did you see this piece of content? Or you really missed this. So, we try to keep that relationship going, kind of along the line, as both Gina and Neil have talked about. Another thing that we do to really nurture that relationship is we've done a much better job of being timely with our content. And so, we watch, of course, what's going on in our markets, but also just what's going on in the broader world and the broader news cycle. And a great example of that is a few years ago, Tuscaloosa went through a huge tornado, as you may recall. And our editors on the construction team got the idea to create kind of a guide for contractors to get cleanup work, because they were getting calls, hey, do you have any information for me of how I can, get work helping in this cleanup? And so they just put together a nice guide to help them. And that has become one of our highest performing pieces of content every year. It just keeps coming up on search because it's such valuable content. And so we thought, well, if it's, that valuable, this content from several years ago, what if we freshened it every time there is some kind of a natural disaster? So if there's a wildfire out west, we can freshen up that content and we can target contractors within that region who might be interested in doing cleanup work. Or if there's a hurricane on the Gulf Coast, same thing. So we've tried to really help nurture that relationship and build that credibility and trust with our readers by being there with the content that they need to be successful at any point in time.
So Neil, Mack has had some real success in leveraging social media influencers. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys manage that successfully, and maybe some of the risks that would be associated with engaging with influencers that aren't really part of the actual brand messaging?
So when it comes to influencers, our strategy is just to be as authentic as we possibly can, and we don't necessarily seek out or run an active influencer program, that someone could reach into us and request to sign up for, and that type of degree as some companies operate, and there are a lot of influencer programs out there. For us, it was we manage our social media, all of our channels day to day from within my team. And we're able to then see these folks interact with our product and then take advantage of building relationships, one-to-one relationships, right from the brand via social media with them. And one particular, Jamie Hagan, we've used a lot. He and I, we go back to like 2014. And he was just authentically telling a fuel economy story with his truck. He was very passionate about it. And that was really the basis for what we look to do for and with any influencer that we want to develop that relationship with. There are a lot of risks. Like I said, we typically try to avoid those just to mitigate the risk of being attached to any particular person, if you would, in the event that something were to go wrong. And it's just, I think it just boils down to really having that relationship. Jamie and I, we text on and off. So if there's anything that comes up, there's such a high level of trust there that I know he would call me or he would text me directly, and there's no worry about waking up one morning and there being, a PR disaster that had unfolded while you were away for a few hours.
So that's a relationship that's really then built on a long period of trust and experience, and not necessarily something that you would advise anybody to really go out and say, hey, you need to develop an army of influencers.
Correct. I would highly recommend just, like I said, getting to know your audience, seeing the folks that really interact authentically with the product. You can, really cultivate that relationship. And I think those over time just develop into those authentic influencer relationships that can be expanded. And we try to include those into special events. And, like when we launched the anthem, Jamie was one of very few outside people or any customers that was there at that event. So we try to reward them for being loyal and for participating in the influencer program, but it's really built around that trust and authenticity.
So Gina and Neil, you both have either a customer council or a marketing dealer council that you're constantly pinging for feedback. Can you give us an example of a time where you were really surprised by your audience's reaction to a marketing concept that you put out there? Gina, you want to go ahead and start?
I will give a quick example now that has come to mind. So we actually publish a newsletter called First Gear. And we did go directly to our council on this and say, hey, we want to put together a specific set of content that focuses on drivers that have just gotten their CDL and are just kind of hitting the road. Would any of you guys be interested in writing articles for it? doing interviews for different content pieces, or, just participating in this effort. And I was just shocked at, the responses we got, and the willingness and the true desire to, give these drivers certain tips or pointers that they wish they had when they started. So, just another great example of the brotherhood that is out there with this audience, and the true care and concern and the great hearts that these drivers have, for each other, and then for new drivers coming into the industry. So that's an example, I would say, where I was just, truly surprised, touched, and just, I thought it was pretty awesome, their willingness to contribute, and to help these new drivers that were coming into their own within trucking.
Neil, example from you on anything you've been surprised with that you've bounced off of the dealer council?
And my answer is similar to Gina's. Over time, when I've been at Mack now for going on a little over 8 years, and when I joined the company, our dealer marketing subcouncil was mostly made up of the dealer principals and perhaps some general managers, sales managers. Over the last 8 years, we have expanded that to now where annually we do a marketing summit with all of the marketing managers from the dealerships. So we have seen it go from very few marketing managers across the dealer network to many dealers now realizing the importance. So if there's a surprise, I guess that would be it, not so much campaign or content related, but just that the sheer realization that we need to get marketing managers in the dealership. We need to do a lot of our own marketing, and then the biggest thing with that group is the ability to bounce off our ideas and our campaigns and share results with them. And it's also to as Gina said, get that feedback for what they need. And a lot of them aren't perhaps able to create the content that we can create within my team. So just hearing their needs and us being able to step in and help make sure that we are hitting the appropriate messages based on things that they're hearing in the market, being able to point out the right applications, or being able to highlight certain features of the product that could be regionally that sometimes don't always surface. So it's just been a phenomenal experience to work with them and to see the whole dealer marketing community grow, and us being able to support one another and collect that feedback, just like Gina said, and how we can develop the content and develop the materials to help them sell more trucks and fill any gaps that they may have.
All right. Well, thanks, Neil. The trucking landscape is certainly complex. We have from fleets to owner operators to company drivers, veterans and rookies. How do you guys separate your content marketing to meet the varying needs of those segments? Gina, you touched on your first gear effort, so we'll go ahead and start with you there.
Just recently, we've probably been publishing our first gear newsletter a little bit over a year now. And we, like I said before, we really tap into our pro driver council for this, because they're the ones that truly have walked in the shoes of these drivers. So they were at one time a new CDL, and they just got their CDL, and they were ready to hit the road. And we really leverage our council here, because they know what these drivers, what they need to have in their cab, mistakes they've made that they can communicate to these new drivers. So with First Gear, we publish it every other month, And it's a culmination of some content articles, some brand advertisements, and then some special offers for these new drivers. It's distributed every other month, and Randall-Reilly assists us with that distribution. And we have seen excellent metrics relative to this piece. And I assume and like to think it's because Neil touched on just the concept of authenticity. It's truly very valuable content to these new drivers. So just to mention and give you an example of an article, we literally had one of our council members author an article that was called "What I Wish I Knew When I First Started Driving." So what better content for a new driver than something coming from a veteran driver that literally says, here's the things that I wish I knew when I first started. I'm going to tell you now. So then you don't have to go through some of the similar hardships or make the same mistakes I did at that time. So they're already ahead of the game just because of some content that we're publishing in first gear. We also include different advertisements. We, kind of pick and choose products that we feel like are very important as drivers are starting their career. An example of that would be a Bluetooth headset. So of course, whether it's a Blue Parrot headset, whether it's a Road King headset, bringing some of these products to their attention is definitely helpful to them. And then giving them some special offers. So making them aware of different promotions and digital gift card offers that are available on some of these products that they'll find at travel centers. So we have definitely taken this segment and run with it and created, we have definitely taken this segment and ran with it and created this entire first gear newsletter just focused on these new drivers and the content, that will help them be successful as they begin their career in driving.
All right, thanks, Gina. Neil, same thing with you guys. As an OEM, you guys are very diverse with vocational, on-highway, off-highway, heavy-duty, medium-duty, special heavy haul operations. How do you go about shaping your content marketing strategy for all those various segments of Mack's customer base?
Yeah, we, similar to Gina's response there, we we through our marketing automation software, we track, what type of job roles, what industry, what type of content folks are consuming, and we're able to then build segments within each one of those audiences. Another thing we spend a lot of time on is really developing a good depth of customer personas, and breaking out how we want to message to each one of those personas. So for example, we know the drivers are heavy influencers into fleets. The fleets want to keep the drivers. They want to make sure they're happy. They want to make sure they're providing them with product to retain those drivers or attract new drivers. And so when we go out to build out our content plan and content strategy for the year or for quarter or for the month ahead, we really look at mapping the existing content to those personas and to those stories that we need to tell, and to those audiences that we want to reach. And we really, from there, then explore, which channels, which ones are most effective to each one of those personas, and which one of the segments do we reach the right audience with the right message. So it's really, for us, it's just laying it out, really planning it, and knowing what content that we have, where we're short on content that we need to go out and perhaps produce some new content to fill gaps in particular segments or to particular audiences within those segments. But it really comes down to the data behind what we're doing, and we really spend a lot of time on developing that data within our marketing automation platform, so that these folks are self-identifying. They are giving up job role information. They're giving up segment, what business they're in, what industry types they're in, and then we really just maintain that matrix of those industry segments, job roles, and existing content, and where we need to spend time developing additional content.
And Linda, you had mentioned earlier in the discussion about content's ability to really be able to track individual job titles and create and see what kind of content is really engaging with those segments, and creating more content like that to keep those audience members engaged. How is Randall-Reilly really working to create those segments of the audience to provide a more granular approach to client marketing efforts?
Sure. Well, I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation that, our research had showed us that it was, it's time to sunset print and to move into a 100% digital focus. And at that time, which was last fall, we began completely revamping our websites and our e-newsletters. And so just from the ground up, trying to use all of the best practices that we could to both enhance the audience experience, but certainly also help our clients be more effective through our media brands. And so one of the things that we did is we built out our websites as a network of sites. Because if you look at the trucking or the construction industry, the audiences are so interconnected. We have the fleet audiences, which is connected to the owner operators, and the drivers and the dealers play a role. And it's the same on the construction side. So we kind of knit all of those audiences together through our brands. And so it enables our clients to reach across brands if they want to. And we also organize the content so that you can present our content across channels. For instance, we have a technology channel, we have a business channel, we have a maintenance channel. And so a client can, if they're say an oil company, for instance, we know they probably want to reach maintenance folks, whether it's an owner operator who does his own maintenance, or a contractor, or a fleet, or a dealer. An oil company can have their marketing message presented within that maintenance channel. And we know through research that readers or audiences are much more likely, I think 70% more likely, to engage with an ad if it's presented within relevant content, contextually relevant content. And so that's something that we're starting to offer to our clients. Related to that, we also have newsletters that are topic targeted. So we just last week, I think we launched a technology newsletter for contractors. So we have maintenance specific newsletters. So we're trying to present content across channels and to help our clients have their messages within that contextually relevant content that's going to give them the lift that they want. The other thing that we did when we redesigned the websites is we took a step back from the old-fashioned B2B, where you see that right rail of little like NASCAR looking ads down the side that our brains are all hardwired to completely ignore. And we have started presenting our advertising in larger formats, and again, within that contextually relevant content, so that when readers are consuming our articles, they can't help but see those nice large ads within the content. So they're more likely to click or at least get awareness of that brand's messaging.
One final question for our panelists before we wrap up. Audience
Definitely.
Adoption of new social media platforms, growth in video, podcasts, and other multimedia channels offer competition to conventional marketing efforts, but also offer opportunities to engage with audiences and meet them where they are. As content creators, are there any new ways, technologies, or platforms that really you see hold promise for future audience engagement? And Neil, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, so we've recently really started cranking out some content on our Instagram channel through Reels, the new feature, kind of Instagram's answer to TikTok. We did set up a TikTok account, but given that we have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, we really pivoted there first. And we really then started exploring a lot of fun, quick content, kind of highlighting the top 3 reasons to on a or to run a Mack drive transmission. So given these really just fun, short, brief, quick, witty, short videos on Reels has already started to prove that it's very effective. One of the first few that we started posting, just within a matter of hours, we would see thousands of views start to come in. So we're really excited about that. Not sure how deep we'll go into TikTok just yet, but just recognizing that the audiences there, will skew a younger demographic, and really trying to put those messages and engage with those audiences and those demographics is important, and we certainly do recognize those opportunities.
Linda, as a content creator, any particular new technologies or platforms that you feel are really going to be worth pursuing in the near future?
Certainly, I would. For us, it's not so much about the latest thing. I mean, I wish that we certainly do try to keep our finger on Instagram and TikTok and all the things that's happening, but we have a really small team. So for us, it's really about trying to focus our resources on the things that are going to be the most effective and have the biggest payoff. And so it's not by any stretch anything new, but we are putting a lot of our emphasis on video, which we had not done in the past. And it's been a challenge for B2B as a whole. I think certainly not just Randall-Reilly, but I think B2B journalists have struggled with how to create videos that are engaging and really tell a story. And we are lucky that we have an editor on our construction team who just took it as his passion project, and he turns out has not only a great way of producing and editing video, but he has a great on-camera presence. And so we've moved him into a new role where he's going to be creating kind of a video studio and working with all of our brand teams on how to create more engaging video for our audiences, and certainly for our clients to participate in as well. So we see that as a real important channel, for the foreseeable future. I think YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world with over 2 billion users. So it feels like there's something there, and we want to be a part of that. So that's going to be a huge focus for us over the next few months and coming years.
That's right. And Neil, we'll be in touch to understand a little bit more about how to launch that on Amazon Prime.
Absolutely.
All right, Gina, anything that excites you in terms of kind of emerging technologies?
Just to reiterate and jump on what Linda and Neil both mentioned, we too, a lot of our audience is still in the Facebook world. Definitely have, Instagram has grown for us, and, we will continue to grow there. But we too have had preliminary discussions on TikTok and, what that means for us and our audience. So we'll continue to explore that. Video, just like Linda said, no one can deny the impact of video. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, what is a video worth? And then with iPhones and new technology, it's very easy to create authentic, even user-generated content through video. So we will continue as well to focus on video, unboxing videos, and different content that our audience finds very relevant and valuable when it comes to video. I would also add to those things the idea of community marketing and these platforms. I mentioned earlier our break time platform, but these tools and these platforms that give marketers the ability to have these more exclusive communities and areas or websites, platforms, apps, whatever is most advantageous for certain audiences. But the opportunity for certain members to engage in these smaller discussions on different topics and to engage and interact with other members of the industry, I think is going to continue to grow, especially given the state of the world right now and the lack of personal interaction.
Okay, well, thank you. That's a great note to end on. So Gina, Neil, and Linda, I want to thank you all for being so generous with your time and for a great discussion this afternoon. Thank you to our audience for your time and attention, but don't go away, because coming up next, our next session, measuring buyer behavior and sharpening your targeting. So stick around.